There are moments when a woman says almost nothing and somehow leaves you thinking about her for days. Not because she flirted, not because she confessed anything, but because something in the way she looked at you, or stayed just a second longer than she needed to, quietly unsettled you. If you've ever wondered whether an age gap makes real feelings impossible, stay with me. There's something many men never notice until it's already changed the relationship. And if these conversations help you understand people a little more deeply, consider subscribing. It tells me you're interested in what usually goes unsaid. One of the hardest parts about an age gap connection isn't the years, it's the uncertainty. You keep asking yourself whether she's simply being kind, whether you're imagining things, whether you're reading too much into tiny moments that probably mean nothing. So you dismiss them. Then later, lying awake at night, you replay every conversation, every smile, every pause. You wonder why she remembered something small you mentioned weeks ago, why she laughed a little too hard at your worst joke, why she looked disappointed when you left. And because you don't want to seem foolish, you say nothing. That silence is more common than most people realize, especially when the connection feels unexpected. Often, when two people have an age difference, both become more careful than they normally would. She may worry about being judged. You may worry about misreading kindness. So instead of moving closer, both people become quieter. That's what makes these situations so confusing. Not because feelings aren't there, because neither person feels completely safe showing them. Imagine the two of you standing with coffee after work. The conversation should have ended 5 minutes ago. Other people have already walked away, but somehow, neither of you leaves. The subjects become completely ordinary. Music, weather, a movie neither of you finished. Nothing important. And yet, neither of you wants the moment to end. That's one of the first quiet signs that attraction sometimes begins. Not with dramatic chemistry, but with comfort. Comfort is strangely underestimated. People think attraction always looks exciting, fast, obvious. In reality, emotional safety often arrives first. Someone starts feeling peaceful around you before they understand why. And that's where something unexpected can begin. But comfort alone isn't enough, because there's another silent change that happens inside her mind, one that even she may not recognize at first. And once that begins, the age gap starts feeling surprisingly less important than something else entirely. It's strange how feelings sometimes reveal themselves, not when two people are together, but after they've already said goodbye. She gets home, puts her keys on the table, starts making dinner or answering messages or finishing whatever was left from the day. And then, almost without realizing it, she remembers something you said. Not the impressive story, not the advice, just a small comment. Maybe the way you laughed at yourself after making a mistake. Maybe how you noticed that she seemed tired before anyone else did. Maybe the quiet confidence in saying, "Take your time," instead of asking for more from her. Those moments stay with people because they're unexpected. Many men believe attraction grows from being unforgettable. In many cases, it grows from making someone feel understood. There's a difference. One asks for attention, the other creates peace. And peace has a way of lingering, especially when life feels noisy. This is where many men become confused. They assume that if she's interested, she'll make it obvious. But real emotions aren't always dramatic. Sometimes they appear in tiny shifts that don't look romantic at all. She starts finding reasons to continue conversations that already have natural endings. You send one message, she answers, then quietly introduces something new. Not because she needs to, because she isn't ready for the conversation to disappear. It's subtle, easy to miss. Imagine you're walking together after meeting through mutual friends. There's a comfortable silence, not awkward, just calm. She notices a bookstore window and asks what kind of books you read. You answer. Then she asks another question, then another. Hours later, you realize she spent most of the evening learning about your life. Not interviewing you, discovering you. There's a difference. Curiosity changes when feelings begin. People stop collecting facts. They begin collecting pieces of someone. The song you mentioned once, your favorite place to clear your head, why you don't drink coffee after sunset, the story behind that old watch you wear. These details become emotionally valuable, not because they're important to anyone else, because they're connected to you. And this matters even more in an age gap relationship. When someone worries about outside opinions, they often slow down before expressing attraction openly. Instead of saying, "I like you," they become deeply curious. Curiosity feels safer. It doesn't expose the heart quite as much. But there's something even quieter than curiosity, something that almost slips past unnoticed. It happens when she begins adjusting little parts of herself around you. Not to become someone different, but because, without meaning to, your opinion has started carrying more weight than she ever expected. There's a quiet moment that often surprises people. It doesn't happen during a romantic conversation. It happens before one. She's getting ready to see you, standing in front of a mirror for just a little longer than usual. She changes her shirt, then changes it back. Not because she's trying to become someone she's not, but because, somewhere inside her, a small question has appeared. I wonder what he'll think. That question matters. Not because she needs your approval, because your opinion has started to feel emotionally important. There's a difference. When someone begins falling for another person, they often become more aware of how they show up around them. Their voice softens. They notice their own words. They replay conversations afterward. Did I sound awkward? Why did I say that? I hope he understood what I meant. You may never hear those thoughts, but they can exist quietly beneath the surface, especially when an age gap already makes someone cautious. She may worry about how she's perceived. She may wonder if you're judging her, or whether other people already are. So instead of becoming louder, she becomes more thoughtful. Imagine you're sitting together after a long day. She's telling you a story. Halfway through, she notices you've gone quiet. Not distracted, just listening. Really listening. She smiles without even realizing it. Then she tells you something a little more personal than she planned. Nothing dramatic. Maybe a childhood memory, a fear about changing careers, something she usually keeps to herself. Later that night, she'll probably wonder why she opened up so easily. That's one of the quiet signs emotional trust is growing. People rarely become vulnerable because someone demanded honesty. They become vulnerable because someone made honesty feel safe. And safety is incredibly attractive. Not flashy, not exciting in the movie sense, just calming. Many men underestimate this. They think attraction grows by constantly impressing a woman. Sometimes it grows because she doesn't feel like she has to perform around you. She doesn't need to be funny every second. She doesn't need perfect makeup. She doesn't need the perfect answer. She simply relaxes. And that relaxation is easy to mistake for friendship. Sometimes it is friendship. But sometimes it's the beginning of something much deeper. Because emotional closeness often wears the same clothes as friendship before either person is ready to admit what's changing. Still, there's another shift that reveals even more. It's not about what she says, it's about what she starts protecting. Because when someone's feelings deepen, they often become surprisingly careful with one thing they never expected to guard: your place in her life. There comes a point when feelings stop living only inside someone's heart and quietly begin shaping their choices. Not the big choices, those come later. I'm talking about the little ones that almost nobody notices. She sees something during her day and thinks, he'd laugh at that. She hears a song and wonders if you've heard it. She walks past a restaurant and catches herself imagining what you'd order. It sounds ordinary, maybe even insignificant. But that's often how emotional attachment grows. Not through grand moments, through repeated, almost invisible reminders that someone has become part of your inner world. And here's where the age gap can make things even more confusing. She may become more careful, not less. You might expect stronger feelings to make her bolder. Sometimes they do. But often, stronger feelings create stronger caution. because now there's something to lose. She starts thinking beyond the present moment. What if people misunderstand us? What if he doesn't feel the same? What if this becomes complicated? Those questions don't necessarily stop attraction, they simply make it quieter. Picture this. You're talking in a group. Several people are laughing, sharing stories, interrupting each other. From the outside, nothing seems unusual, but every now and then, her eyes drift toward you. Not because you're speaking, just to check where you are, whether you're smiling, whether you're still engaged. It's almost automatic. She isn't trying to send a message. Her attention simply keeps returning to the person who has begun to matter. Most people don't realize they do this. Our eyes often reveal where our emotions quietly rest. But don't mistake this for certainty. People can look because they're curious, comfortable, or simply attentive. That's why it's never one sign that tells the story. It's the pattern. One quiet moment by itself means very little. Several of them, repeated over time. That begins to tell you something. There's another pattern that's even easier to overlook. She starts protecting the connection itself. If there's a misunderstanding, she doesn't rush to disappear. She wants to clear it up. If a conversation feels awkward, she finds a reason to reach out later. If life becomes busy, she doesn't let too much time pass before reconnecting. Why? Because when someone values a relationship, they usually don't protect their pride as much as they protect the bond. That doesn't mean she'll chase endlessly. Healthy people still have boundaries. But you'll often notice a quiet willingness to repair instead of retreat. And that willingness says far more than dramatic words ever could. Because anyone can create excitement for a moment, very few people consistently protect something they don't secretly hope will grow. And that brings us to the final sign. The one that isn't really about attraction at all. It's about the future. Not the future she talks about, the future she begins to imagine without even realizing she's inviting you into it. The last sign is the quietest of them all. You won't find it in a long stare, or a playful message, or even in the way she smiles when she sees you. You'll find it in something much harder to fake. She slowly begins to picture tomorrow, and somehow you're already there. Not in a dramatic way. She isn't planning your whole future together. That's not how real feelings usually begin. Instead, it slips into ordinary conversations. She mentions a place she'd love to visit someday, then pauses. You'd probably like it there. She talks about a concert months away. You should come if you're free. She laughs about trying a new restaurant. We'll have to see if it's actually any good. Did you notice the word? We. Sometimes it appears before she's even aware she's using it. Not because she's making a promise, because somewhere inside, your presence has started to feel natural. That's often what growing affection feels like. Someone stops imagining life as only me. Without forcing it, little pieces of us begin to appear. And that's a beautiful shift. Not because it guarantees a relationship, it doesn't. Life is more complicated than that. People have different circumstances, different fears, different responsibilities. An age gap can bring thoughtful questions that deserve honest conversations, not rushed decisions. Sometimes two people care deeply for each other and still choose to move slowly. Sometimes they discover they're better as friends, and sometimes they build something stronger than either of them expected because they were willing to understand each other instead of making assumptions. That's why these silent signs matter. Not as proof, not as a checklist, but as gentle reminders to pay attention to the emotional world that's unfolding between two people. Because feelings rarely arrive with an announcement. They grow in the spaces between words, in remembered conversations, in comfortable silence, in small acts of care, in the choice to stay when leaving would have been easier. So if you've been wondering whether she's falling for you despite the years between you, don't look only for dramatic gestures. Look for consistency. Look for curiosity. Look for emotional safety. Look for the quiet ways she makes room for you in her life. And while you're watching for those signs, don't forget something just as important. Ask yourself one honest question. When you're with her, do you feel like you're trying to impress her? Or do you feel safe enough to simply be yourself? Because the strongest relationships, whatever the age difference, are rarely built on perfect words. They're built on two people who slowly realize that, around each other, pretending no longer feels necessary. And sometimes, that's the moment love has already begun, long before either of you says it out loud.